They could lock down everybody in the country.
How is that possible?
For 2 years straight, but they couldn't lock down the border.
Well, it raises a question about, what government isn't doing right in this country, like surveillance.
Yeah.
Remember, I voted against the Patriot Act because I read it. I don't like the surveillance society. I want to see ways in which we can return people's freedom. Again, this is about freedom in this country, not to create, quote, freedom in other places because we deliver bombs and we, have an American flag on the warhead. No, we have to change our direction. And that's something that I'm about. That's something this campaign as an independent's about. And, Jimmy, I could very well end up being the only independent elected to the House in 2024 in a pivotal position, which I will use to help workers, to help rebuild the middle class, to help save small businesses, and to get us out of these endless wars.
So something that's near and dear to my heart is free speech and anti-censorship. And we were all censored during COVID, unbelievably, at the behest of Big Pharma and the liars. Where do you stand on that?
Look, these ideas, these big tech companies basically purloining the First Amendment and squatting on it and saying free speech for me, but not for thee. I have the idea of censoring people. Free speech is the cornerstone of this country, and the minute that we let it be eroded in any way, we put ourselves at the mercy. At this point, at this time, an econotechnic system that is adverse to human values. And so, I have, my feeling, stand for free speech, speak freely. That's what I did in Congress. I gave hundreds of speeches over the years, most of them trying to keep us out of wars or get out of wars. But the basic cornerstone of our country has to be free speech. And, freedom of the press, A.G. Lieblein famously said, it belongs to the person who owns one. The fact that there's been a contraction in media ownership is a major problem at every level. And, it's not just print, but it's the internet, it's the television stations, which of course their market share is sinking. The whole media landscape has changed, but the cornerstone has to be free speech. And
Julian, where do you stand on Julian Assange?
Oh, look, he ought to be released. He is a prime example. Julian Assange is a prime example of what happens when the military-industrial complex wants to crush someone who's exposing actually what is going on. Now, reporters for conventional media would get a Pulitzer Prize for what he exposed. But what does he get? He gets a jail cell. He ought to be released. And it's a fundamental principle that whistleblowers have to be protected. And he was a whistleblower. He's also a journalist. The fact that there aren't more journalists from the so-called mainstream defending him is really a market share question, right? And I'm, to me, it's not even close. Assange should have never been jailed. He should have never been left to have to sequester himself in the embassy in London. He shouldn't be in a cell right now in the UK, and he shouldn't be extradited to the United States. There shouldn't be more of a trial. But the people who led us into that war in Iraq, Jimmy, they need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
They need to be held accountable for the 5,000, almost 5,000 American men and women who lost their lives, the tens of thousands injured, the million Iraqis. There were war crimes committed in the name of the American people. They lied to us, and that is who we should be focusing on for accountability. Not a guy who said, "Hey, do you know what? They're killing people in this situation that is horrific, and why are we not saying something about that?" I mean, Assange ought to be free, no question about it.